It's not so easy writing about nothing. That's what a cowpoke was saying as I entered the frame of a dream. Vaguely handsome, intensely laconic, he was balancing on a folding chair leaning backwards, his Stetson brushing the edge of the dun-colored exterior of a lone café. I say lone, as there appeared to be nothing else around, except an antiquated gas pump and a rusting trough, ornamented with a necklace of horseflies slung above the last dregs of its stagnant water. There was no one around either, but he didn't seem to mind. He just pulled the brim of his hat over his eyes and kept on talking. It was the same kind of silver belly open road model that Lyndon Johnson used to wear. But we keep on going, he continued, fostering all kinds of crazy hopes to redeem the lost, some sliver of personal revelation. It's an addiction, like playing the slots or a game of golf. It's a lot easier to talk about nothing, I said. He didn't outright ignore my presence, but he did fail to respond. Well, anyway, that's my 2 cents. You're just about to pack it in, toss the clubs in a river. When you hit your stride, the ball rolls straight in the cup, and the coins fill your inverted cap. The sun caught the edge of his belt buckle, projecting a flash that shimmered across the desert plain. A shrill whistle sounded, and as I stepped to the right, I caught sight of a shadow spilling a whole other set of sophisms from an entirely different angle. I've been here before, haven't I? He just sat there, staring out at the plain. Son of a bitch, I thought. He's ignoring me. Hey, I said, I'm not the dead, not a shade passing. I'm flesh and blood here. He pulled a notebook out of his pocket and started writing. You gotta at least look at me, I said. After all, it is my dream. I drew closer, close enough to see what he was writing. He had his notebook open to a blank page, and 3 words suddenly materialized. Nope, it's mine. Well, I'll be damned, I murmured. I shaded my eyes and stood there looking out toward what he was seeing. Dust clouds, flat bed, tumbleweed, white sky, a whole lot of nothing. The writer is a conductor, he drawled. I wandered off, leaving him to expound on the twisting track of the mind's convolutions. Words that lingered then fell away as I boarded a train of my own that dropped me off fully clothed in my rumpled bed. Opening my eyes, I rose, staggered into the bathroom, and splashed cold water on my face in one swift motion. I slid on my boots, fed the cats, grabbed my watch cap and old black coat, and headed out toward the road many times taken, across the wide avenue to Bedford Street and a small Greenwich Village café. Café Eno. 4 ceiling fans spinning overhead. The Café Eno is empty save for the Mexican cook and a kid named Zach, who sets me up with my usual order of brown toast, a small dish of olive oil, and black coffee. I huddle in my corner, still wearing my coat and watch cap. It's 9 a.m. I'm the first one here. Bedford Street as the city awakens. My table, flanked by the coffee machine and the front window, affords me a sense of privacy where I withdraw into my own atmosphere. The end of November. The small cafe feels chilly. So why are the fans turning? Maybe if I stare at them long enough, my mind will turn as well. It's not so easy writing about nothing. I can hear the sound of the cowpoke's slow and authoritative drawl. I scribble his phrase on my napkin. How can a fella get your goat in a dream and then have the grit to linger? I feel a need to contradict him, not just a quick retort, but with action. I look down at my hands. I'm sure I could write endlessly about nothing, if only I had nothing to say. After a time, Zach places a fresh cup before me. "This is the last time I'll be serving you," he says solemnly. He makes the best coffee around, so I am sad to hear. "Why, are you going somewhere?" "I'm going to open a beach cafe on the boardwalk in Rockaway Beach." "A beach cafe? What do you know? A beach cafe." I stretch my legs and watch as Zach performs his morning tasks. He could not have known that I once harbored a dream of having a cafe of my own. I suppose it began with reading of the cafe life of the Beats, Surrealists, and French symbolist poets. There were no cafes where I grew up, but they existed within my books and flourished in my daydreams. In 1965, I had come to New York City from South Jersey just to roam around, and nothing seemed more romantic than to just sit and write poetry in a Greenwich Village cafe. I finally got the courage to enter Café Dante on McDougal Street. Unable to afford a meal, I just drank coffee, but no one seemed to mind. The walls were covered with printed murals of the city of Florence and scenes from the Divine Comedy. The same scenes remain to this day, discolored by decades of cigarette smoke. In 1973, I moved into an airy, whitewashed room with a small kitchen on that same street, just 2 short blocks from Café Dante. I could crawl out the front window and sit on the fire escape at night and clock the action that flowed through the Kettle of Fish, one of Jack Kerouac's frequented bars. There was a small stall around the corner on Bleecker Street where a young Moroccan sold fresh rolls, anchovies packed in salt, and bunches of fresh mint. I would rise early and buy supplies. I'd boil water and pour it into a teapot stuffed with mint and spend the afternoons drinking tea, smoking bits of hashish, and rereading the tales of Mohammed Murabit and Isabel Eberhardt. Cafeino didn't exist back then. I would sit by a low window in Café Dante that looked out into the corner of a small alley, reading Murabit's The Beach Cafe. A young fish seller named Driss meets a reclusive, uncongenial codger who is a so-called cafe with only 1 table and 1 chair on a rocky stretch of shore near Tangier. The slow-moving atmosphere surrounding the cafe so captivated me that I desired nothing more than to dwell within it. Like Driss, I dreamed of opening a place of my own. I thought about it so much I could almost enter it. The Café Nerval, a small haven where poets and travelers might find the simplicity of asylum.